Good morning, Conway Cougars, especially my lovely Jedis. It was so awesome seeing you guys yesterday on Google Meet. So today I'm reading chapter 8 of Small Spaces. Remember, yesterday we left off with Ollie realizing that Linda Webster, the owner of Misty Valley, was the woman she met in the woods. "Welcome to Misty Allen," Mrs. Webster called, smiling. Her face looked pleasant now, wholesomely weathered. Her eyes were calm and sane. The streaky black makeup, the tears, the skull smile were all gone. She might have been a totally different person, except Ollie recognized her long amber honey braid. The bus sighed and settled. People were clogging up the aisle. Ollie hurriedly ducked her head, coughed into her hand, hoping Miss Webster hadn't gotten a good look at her. She got off the bus and hid in a group of her classmates. Small Spaces seemed to be lying extra heavy in her backpack. Maybe Miss Webster's not crazy. Maybe she's really scared of something. But what? Ollie looked around. A red farmhouse stood on the top of the little rise. Just below lay a long, low barn. Behind the barn was a slim slice of pasture, muddy and gently rolling, with a herd of dairy cows. Chickens wandered around the open spaces between the buildings, pecking. Next to the cows, a field of late sunflowers nodded in the breeze. The sound of Leith Creek came faintly to her ears, and the sun peered through the hurrying clouds, turning the leaves gold. Really nothing to be scared of. It was beautiful, except a group of 3 scarecrows stood on the edge of the parking lot, smiling stitched on their faces. Their garden rake hands were raised to wave. The tips of the rakes gleamed in the sun. Ollie kept turning. More scarecrows. Scarecrows everywhere. Someone had set up scarecrows behind the buildings, in the vegetable garden, on the stakes in the cornfield. Their hands were trowels or garden rakes. Their smiles had been sewn or painted on. Scarecrows, Ollie thought uneasily, should not be used for decoration. Piles of pumpkins were much better, but creepy though the scarecrows were, they hardly explained Linda Webster crying by the creek the day before. "Man," said Brian Battersby, voice behind her, "I wouldn't want to meet these guys on a dark night." Ollie turned. Brian was eyeing a particularly sinister scarecrow, tall, dressed in old-fashioned black suit. It had garden forks for hands. "No," Ollie said, a little puzzled, but in complete agreement. Why was Brian even talking to her? I wouldn't either. Brian grinned at her and reached up to adjust the tall scarecrow straw hat. "Good thing they're just scarecrows. Have fun today, Ollie Pop." He sauntered away with Phil and Mike. "Come over here, please. Gather round." The 6th grade clustered around Miss Webster, except for Ollie, who hung back. "Welcome," Miss Webster said. "We have a lovely program for you." Just then, the bus driver popped up beside her, pale gray bearded, with red lipped. Where had he been? Also, did Miss Webster flinch away from him slightly? Was he the one Miss Webster was scared of? Maybe he'd made her go dump a book into the Leith Creek. But why? The bus driver's skin really was the gray white of an old mushroom. Ollie loved mushrooms. On weekends, she and her mom used to go foraging for wild ones. It had been an autumn day like this one, clouds chasing the sun, when they had found Ollie's first chicken of the woods. "These are pretty rare, Olivia," her mom said, glowing. "Look, chicken of the woods only grow out of the hearts of dying trees." She trapped the elm in question. "This tree is a goner. Forest rangers don't like to see chicken of the woods because that means they are good hardwoods for dying. But this mushroom..." "What?" Ollie cried, stroking the orange-red thing with a forefinger. "You'll see," said her mother, smiling, pulling her out of her pocket knife. Sure enough, the second they got home, her dad whooped and said, "I'll make the batter. No, sit down, both of you. You'll just get oil everywhere." That night, they feasted on chicken-fried wild mushrooms with mashed potatoes. Afterward, Ollie and her mom swam in the freezing creek and ate homemade ice cream. It was the best of days, but when Ollie's mom came to tuck her in that night, she found Ollie crying. "Olivia, are you okay?" she asked. "Does your tummy hurt?" Ollie shook her head. "I'm sad for the tree where the mushroom came from. It doesn't seem fair that it gave us the best and the yummiest mushrooms, and now it's just gonna die." She buried her face in her pillow. That was back when she could cry over dumb things like elm trees. Her mother sighed and said, "No, it's not fair, but the tree gave us a gift. Even bad things can lead to good. Maybe in sad times it helps to think of that." "Maybe," said Ollie, unconvinced. "If you like," said her mom, giving her a hug, "we can go visit the tree tomorrow and say thank you." "I'd like that," said Ollie, and wiped her nose. But they never did. First it rained, and then it snowed, and then Ollie got older and forgot. And now they wouldn't ever, and it didn't matter. Why did she have to even think about it? All right, guys, that was a really short chapter. Tune in tomorrow for chapter 9. Actually, tune in Monday for chapter 9. Have a great weekend, everybody.